Now the growing fallout from that historic presidential debate. President Biden now facing some backlash this evening from even people in his own party over that performance last night.
And meanwhile, former President Trump pouncing on the criticism of his opponent while also facing pushback himself for repeatedly making some false claims. Both candidates defending themselves while back on the campaign trail today.
I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth.
We had a big victory against a man that really is looking to destroy our country. He's the worst. He's the most corrupt, the most incompetent president in the history of our country.
So supporters of President Biden say that he slipped up early but got stronger as the first presidential debate went on last night.
But there are plenty of people out there who describe what happened as a cascading disaster for the man who occupies the White House. And WLWT News 5's Todd Dykes live with local reaction to all of that. Todd.
Yeah, Mike and Sheree, for anyone who missed last night's debate, it has probably been very hard to avoid the avalanche of commentary about what happened. Former President Trump taking shots for repeating falsehoods, but our nation's current commander-in-chief, well, he's getting drilled for what appeared to be serious lapses in concentration. Former political insider and current Xavier professor Mac Mariani said going into last night's debate, his expectations were likely in line with most voters.
We're going to get something average, right? Trump is not going to be as crazy as people expect him to be, and Biden's not going to be as feeble as maybe people expect him to be. And actually, Biden was worse than even I think people might have expected them to be. And I think for a lot of people, the reaction was shock.
By way of example, here's one exchange about immigration President Biden would probably like to do over.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
What appeared to be mental miscues has Mariani and others worried about the state of affairs at the White House.
If you're panicked about Joe Biden being the nominee, you ought to be panicked about Joe Biden being the president, right? Because I think this raises some real significant questions about whether he's up for the job.
Hamilton County Republican Party Chair Russell Mock agrees.
I can't speak for the Democratic Party, but they've got some problems on their hands.
Mock's counterpart, Democrat Gwen McFarland, says Biden's debate performance doesn't make her feel that way at all.
I didn't focus on the fact that he stumbled a little bit. He answered every question directly, whereas his opponent never answered or rarely answered a question directly.
Now, I also talked to voters, two women, including one pretty ardent Biden supporter who were with their kids at Alt Park today, expressed concerns about the president, with both using the words cognitive decline. During his rally today in North Carolina, Mr. Biden acknowledged that the voters do have concerns about how things are going in the campaign, but he said he's moving forward, adding, quote, "When you get knocked down, you get back up." Reporting live tonight, Todd Dykes, WLWT News 5.